Hello and welcome to Ditch Witch Diaries. We are back talking about trees after the little stoppage since I went to Spain, which, by the way, was covered in orange trees. That's something that I
Oh,
didn't tell you, is that all
interesting.
the streets you looked up and there were orange trees just in public view. It was absolutely
Interesting.
amazing. So
Hmm.
that was kind of a fun part. The
Probably
orange,
smelled amazing.
oh yeah, it was.
Orange, I love orange blossoms. It's my favorite, one of my favorite smells.
It was generally amazing. I mean, I can tell you, this is another thing. We talked a little bit before I pushed record on this, but I can tell you that Madrid was like the cleanest city I've ever been in my life. So there
Hmm.
you go. It was
Interesting.
lovely. The whole place was beautiful. So,
Very
um,
nice.
but here we are here to talk about trees, and we have
Hmm.
two new trees, and you're going to get the first of them. So take it away, Raven.
Yay. All
Yay.
right. So we are starting with holly. Um, So, couple things about holly. I live in the Pacific Northwest. We have a lot of holly, a lot. It's everywhere. And so let me, um, well, this is what it looks like. And then I went outside yesterday to go get like a little branch to bring in for display,
Uh-huh.
but there were lots and lots of bugs on all of the leaves. And I was like, that's not coming in the house. So,
Very buggy.
yeah, so we're not bringing the bugs in, but I will just show you real quick. I just got a leaf. So if you haven't seen a holly, I feel like they're pretty common in like the West Coast generally, but the leaves are very spiky and prickly.
Yep.
And we'll talk about how like shiny and dark it is, but that's our holly. It's like it's like painfully sharp,
It is.
but we do love a holly. Okay. So
We
good
do.
old Holly. All right. So, it is, I forgot to look up how to say this, but the Aquifoliaceae family.
That's
Um,
how I would go with it.
okay, cool. And then works for me. And then the genus is the Ilex. Lots and lots of species for somewhere between 480 and 600. There's a lot of like cross species, which is why we don't have like a specific number, but lots and lots of species. These are some pictures that I took when I went and got the leaf. So this is the leaves before I cut one. These are the flowers. It's not berry season. The berry season kind of just passed, but we do have the flowers. We'll talk about how teeny tiny the flowers are. And then the tree itself. So some species are shrubs, some are trees. This one is a tree. So this right here is the holly tree. And then these are the leaves that I took the picture of.
Nice.
Yeah, lots of holly. Okay. So we're going to talk about three or four, I can't remember, major species. So first we have like the European holly, the Ilex aquifolium. So this is native to Europe, Western Asia, and the Western US. So native to a lot of different places. This is the by far the most recognizable one. This is the one that I showed you. The leaves are very dark green, really glossy. It looks like they are like glossed. Like they're super glossy,
There's wax
super,
on them or something. Yes.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. There's really pronounced sharp spines, which are like the kind of needly aspects that you saw. Oh, let me actually move my little video feed thing. You can see, so they call them spines, especially on the lower branches. So I'll circle back to this in a few slides, but the leaves on the upper branches tend to be less spiny. The lower branches tend to be more spiny. Bright red berries in clusters. You can see here, this is like the typical Christmas holly, red and green coming from the holly type of thing.
When you
So,
deck the halls with boughs of holly, this is what
yes,
you're decking the halls
exactly. Yes, decking the halls.
with.
And they actually do get to be, I didn't put the size on there, but they do get to be pretty good size. So that's like the big one. This is like the most recognizable holly.
Okay.
Then oh, something interesting. So
Oh,
if you've ever seen holly leaves that have this like border, something interesting about them, there's white borders and yellow borders.
okay.
And anytime you see leaves with the bordered colors, these are actually cultivated. They do not happen naturally. They happen very rarely naturally.
Okay.
And there's two specific kinds. So this one, white edges, this one's the yellow edges. And so they've been cultivated. So it's kind of like breeding dogs for the specific traits, right? So this does appear naturally once in a while, but it's really like not advantageous because the coloring on the edges of the leaves are because there's less chlorophyll in the leaves. And so those leaves and those branches tend to die off because they're just not able to like absorb enough sunlight, essentially. But somebody had like found them, thought they looked cool, and just cultivated them and like bred them. So they very, very, very rarely happen in the wild. So if you see these not in the wild, like a lot of times you'll see them like planted in homes and or like around homes and stuff. It's going to be cultivated. Okay, so then we have the opaca, which looks kind of similar to our classic holly, but the leaves are not as bright. They're less glossy. They're much like more matte. You can even kind of see it in the picture. The spines are not as commonplace. So like in the picture, you can see like there's lots of spines, but on this one, not so much. There's only like 4 to 6 spines typically. The berries are less red, they're a little bit more kind of pinkish and less shiny. So it's kind of like a softer type of holly. And the name Opacia refers to this dullness. That's why it was named that, is because it's like a little bit more dull compared to the classic holly. Then we have the Eastern North American holly, the vomitoria, which
Oh, how fun.
I poor baby, poor baby. But
I know. But less
um,
spiny for sure, which is
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. So the leaves are really small, not no spines, smooth edges. This is more of like the shrubby kind. It doesn't get to be as big. And the berries are still definitely red, but the like leaves and the branches in the tree itself look a bit more delicate, less hardy, less vibrant, less prickly. And then we have the crenata,
Oh,
which looks very different, actually. Yeah, so
yeah.
we do still have the berries, but the berries are black, or like really dark purple. Almost looks like belladonna berries, honestly. The leaves are very round, no spines at all. A lot of times it's mistaken for boxwood
Okay.
shrub. So this is like another type of holly, though. So very compact, mostly used in landscaping because it's not going to hurt if you like rub up against the leaves. This one is mostly native to like East Asia, Japan, China, Korea, places
Okay.
like that. Okay, so genus characteristics, generally speaking, it is an evergreen. Most of the species, not all of them, but most of them are evergreens. We do see mostly a glossy, leathery leaf. So even though some of them are not spiny, almost all of the holly species, the leaves are very leathery, very thick feeling.
They
Often
do.
we do see like the spines, but not always. Um, all of the species have berries if they have like um been able to reproduce essentially. But the berry coloring can be different, mostly red, but can be yellow, orange, black, white, different species. You do need both the male and the female flowers on separate plants. So again, like not all of the holly plants are going to have berries because you have to have the reproduction happening. Um, but all of the species do need that. And the flowers are very small, tiny little flowers, as you kind of saw in the picture on the second slide. That was a cluster of flowers, but the individual flowers are very, very small.
Okay.
You can even see here too, like, look at how teeny tiny they
I
are.
know, because up against a leaf, you can
Yeah.
see the
Yeah, the leaf
scale.
right here. Yeah. Little babies. Okay, so not a lot of other names. We do have like European holly, American holly, just depending on, that's not really referring to species. It's more so depending on just like location. We have the Yaupon, which we'll actually talk about, we'll circle back to. This is the vomitoria, and Christ's thorn. So let's go into some folklore. Um, I do want to say Holly had a lot of like stories and folklore, but they weren't like full big. It was just like little snippets of information. It's not like there's not a lot of full stories associated with it. It's a lot of just like little pieces. So I kind of put together what we could.
Okay.
So first we have the Celtic seasonal myth of the Holly King and the Oak King. And so it said, at the height of summer, when the days are the longest, the Oak King falls and the Holly King rises. Slowly, as the year darkens, Holly becomes the ruler of the land, holding life through the cold. But at midwinter, when darkness is deepest, the Oak King returns and the cycle begins again. So it's this like Oak King and Holly King like cycle, depending on the type of the year. Which I do like this, but the fact that it's all masculine makes me not as happy, but that's okay.
Yeah. But that's
We could call it the Oak King and or Oak Queen and the
queen.
Holly Queen.
I
Yes.
like that better. I like that much
Um,
better.
yes, much better, much better. So the Holly Queen rules the dark half of the year, and the Oak Queen rules the light half of
Perfect.
the year. So then we have some like lots of associations with protection. So all across Europe, holly has been considered a protective plant. So it's been hung in homes to ward off evil spirits, which we see is true of a lot of trees. We've talked about this a lot. Planted near houses to protect against lightning. We've seen that a lot too. Believed to repel witches, malevolent forces, and misfortune. And then there was also a belief that if you bring holly indoors, it would invite in protective spirits, but leaving it up too long after winter could be bad luck. So you're supposed, at the end of winter, you were supposed to take all of the holly down, because it's no longer holly season. Right now, it's like the oak season. We do have Christian symbolism, so people have said that the sharp leaves are supposed to imitate the crown of thorns on Christ, the red berries are supposed to imitate the blood of Christ, and the evergreen nature is representative of eternal life. So very heavy in like Christian lore. And then we see like fertility. So Holly was before like the Christianity traditions. Holly was associated with fertility, life force, especially the berries, which are very bright and emerging in the winter, which is not super common. Masculine energy. In a lot of places, especially in like European traditions, we see that Holly is very masculine, which is interesting to me. We'll circle back to that in a second. But they would pair it with ivy, which was seen as the feminine. So we would see holly paired with ivy for the duality. And then sacred groves and ritual use among like Druidic traditions, which we'll also talk about later. Then we have some indigenous traditions. So coming back to the vomitoria, this was used by southeastern Native American tribes. It was a lot of different tribes. It wasn't seemingly wasn't one specific. It was like a bunch of them just in that area. But they brewed holly leaves into what was called the black drink. Now, the indigenous tribes did not call this drink black drink. This was a European name for it. I say this at the bottom, but we don't know why they called it black drink. There's some thoughts that it's just because of the color. Like if you brew it for a long time and it's high concentration, it gets really dark. But there's other people that are saying that it's a misunderstanding of the use because the black drink was drunk in ritual use, like native, indigenous rituals. And so it was like the black because it was like witchcraft and magic. Blah, blah, blah. So, so either way, so consumed for a few different reasons. One is like purification before important events. So if there was just war discussions, diplomatic meetings between tribes, major communal ceremonies, any type of like serious big thing where you want to purify the body before they would drink this. We also see it in decision making. So things like clarity, honesty, seriousness, anytime that you really need help with decision making. or with spiritual preparations. Now, I saw that this was especially talked about in the green corn ceremony. I don't have a lot of information on the green corn ceremony, but I have found that the ceremony itself is about these things like renewal, hence green corn, right? Like it's coming up, it's new, it's like the baby corn. So renewal, forgiveness, resetting, old, it's like the wheel of the year almost, like coming back around, right? We're coming out of the hibernation, going into like the spring and the newness. New cycles, old conflicts being cleared to start to bring in the new. And so that's all green corn ceremony. It's like the newness. And so they would often drink the black drink in the green corn ceremonies. So this was a really big and like commonly consumed beverage in these very serious and like big ritual times.
Awesome.
Yeah, so then we have a couple of rhymes and stuff. So we have an Old English proverb, of all the trees that are in the wood, the holly bears the crown, which is discussed as like holly being like the king of winter because it remains vibrant and the berries come up alive when everything else is bare. So the berries don't fruit. The berries fruit in winter, and this is like a big thing about the holly. There's two big things about holly, the spikiness of the leaves and the berries being winter berries. And so when all of the other trees are bare, not only is holly not bare, but it's also producing these vibrant, red, beautiful berries. Um, so that's why it's seen as like the king or the queen of winter. And then we have the British holly charm, which is holly in the hallway, safe from harm shall stay. And so this is supposed to like you say this as you put the holly in your house to like keep your house protected. Then we have the Yule belief, which is like a traditional belief. Now, I didn't find this quote wasn't like I didn't find this quote, but I kind of like created it a little bit just to like convey this. So bring
Okay.
holly into the house, and the spirits of winter will do no harm. Take it down before the turning of the season, or luck will turn with it.
Okay.
So again, we're seeing like holly protective, but to a certain extent, right? You can't leave the doorway forever, open forever. You have to kind of like close it at a specific time. Okay, so again, lots of like folklore associated with holly, but none of it was like big. It was like little bite-sized pieces of folklore. Like we could talk about like the Christmas songs talking about holly and stuff. It's just a lot of like little bits and pieces. So let's talk about medicinal. So with the Yaupon, which is the vomitoria one, this is the most medically significant one, which is interesting again that it's called vomitoria, but it's the
It
most
is.
medically.
It is. It makes
I'm
you like
so
not want to have
yeah, I
it
know.
ever.
It
Who
sounds
wants to
like a
have
harsh
that?
purgative, but it is not. So, it's actually really, it has some really good stuff. So, stimulant, it's a massive stimulant, diuretic,
Oh.
digestive support, antioxidant. So, it's actually being revived as like an alternative to coffee and yerba mate. So, if
Hmm.
you don't like coffee or green tea or you can't drink it, you could try this. Now,
I wonder
again,
what
it's
the
pretty.
flavor is.
I know. Yeah, I couldn't find anything about it.
Hmm.
The feeling that comes about is I would imagine it's a little bitter, kind of like tea leaves maybe,
Maybe.
but yeah, high stimulant. So
So
just,
it's the berries that they're using.
no, it's the leaves. Yeah. It's the leaves.
Oh.
So I put the berries in
Ew.
here. Berries have been used traditionally as a laxative and a purgative, but they're not really used very often anymore. All berries on all species are somewhat poisonous.
There we
So,
go. Okay, so
yes,
the
so
leaves
only the
of the
leaves.
Yaupon holly
Yeah.
are being used. Okay, so now I
Yeah.
can see why
Yeah.
you think about the tea.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
I get it.
yeah, and remember it's this one. This is the vomitoria. It's not even the prickly ones. It's this one.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay, got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So but I don't know. I haven't really found anything about like the taste, but it comes across like I don't know why, but it gives off like a little bit of a bittery taste. But I'm cool with that. I do not
Yeah.
mind bitter at all.
I have coffee
So
every day, so more
yeah,
than once
yeah.
a day, like
Yeah.
many,
Yeah.
many
And you drink it
times. Like
black,
just
so that's yeah.
I suckle at the coffee
Yes.
teat.
Suckle at the coffee teat. Yeah, so do not consume the berries. If you, again, like, to each their own, we're not doctors, so you can use the berries. They have been used historically, but they've been used historically to induce sickness. Like if you need to,
Okay.
like, if you've ingested something you weren't supposed to, the berries can make you vomit, that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
want to use it as an infusion, it's going to be the leaves.
Okay.
So the vomitoria is the big one. We do also have the aquifolium, which is used much more rarely. I did find some things for it, again, the leaves, but it's mostly fever reducer, anti-inflammatory, and York. So rheumatism, of course, because it had to be in there. Um, but mostly it's going to be the vomitoria. I'm
Nice.
guessing maybe the name comes from the berries, even though like I don't know, even though all
Maybe
of
so. Yeah, probably
yeah,
from the berries. I mean,
yeah.
I can't even imagine. Like,
Yeah. And especially like since this is the one that most indigenous people use, like maybe this one was kind of named first because all of the berries are poisonous. So it's weird to have one species named Vomitoria, but maybe this one has been used like the longest, maybe? I don't know.
and if they're trying to make that commercial, maybe they should keep the Latin name quiet.
Yes.
Because nobody wants to drink anything that has
No,
vomitoria in
no,
the title.
yeah. Maybe just call it, yeah, Ilex or something or Yaupon. Okay, so then we have magical stuff. So, I couldn't find a lot on this, but I did find the element of water, which is emotional depth and intuition. There's not really a lot. Okay, so let me walk you through my steps of why this makes sense. Because the tree itself does not, nothing that I have found comes across as like emotional depth. But if we are associating it with something like the hermit and winter and going within, then I could see that, right? Emotional depth, intuition, focusing on yourself, going deep within. So
Yeah.
I could see that. Planet, lots of different things, mostly Mars for protection, makes sense with the spininess, and Saturn, because Saturn is associated with like winter and structure. Astrological sign Capricorn, two reasons. One is because it's associated with winter and Capricorn, it like winter is Capricorn season,
Yeah.
but also like resilience, quiet strength, survival, that kind of stuff, which comes across a bit Capricorn-y. Now, the tarot, I found
Capricorny, that's my
two.
favorite.
What?
Capricorny, that's my favorite.
I do. That's half of me, or a third, I guess. I'm two-thirds Cancer, one-third cat. But yeah. So I found two, the Emperor for like protection, authority, boundaries, and death, cycles, transition, which I agree with. But I also like the Hermit. I like the Hermit for it because it's winter. It's like
I
it,
agree.
when it's like it comes out when it's like quiet and everything else is asleep and it's just like there by itself in the quietness, which gives which gives very Hermit energy. So I can see both of these. I definitely see the Emperor for the protection. I can see Death for like transition and stuff potentially. I kind of like the Emperor and the Hermit better though.
Nice.
Chakra, didn't find a lot. I found one place that said root chakra because of like protection, grounding, stability. Okay, that makes sense for me.
Okay.
Yeah, so like Holly's energy of like holding on to life, anchoring during the winter, the harsh coldness, and things like that. So, fair.
Nice. Fair.
I
Exactly.
only found one goddess tied directly to it, which is a Celtic goddess, Cailleach, I think is how you say that. And so this is a like winter sovereignty goddess. Dark half of the year, bringer of storms, bringer of cold, bringer of transformation, very wintry, kind of like harsh, almost like I don't, yeah, just very winter energy is what I get from her. Very crone, like by herself, like standing in the mountains that are covered in snow kind of energy.
Hmm.
Um, I did find a lot of other goddesses associated with it, but it was all just for protection. It was like Hecate because of protection, Morgan because of protection, which is like okay, but like that's very general. I want to find
Yeah.
something specifically tied, and so she
Nice.
was the one which I want to look more into her. I'm liking her.
I'm
Like her a lot.
liking her as well.
Yes, beautiful. So then we have the Ogham letter. So this is Tinne. And this is the letter T, which is it's different from what we've seen. Like before, we've talked kind of about a little bit about like the softer nature, not soft necessarily because it's spiky, but it's like the quiet winter aspect, right? The holly is like in a very quiet, strong standing in the iciness, but the Ogham letter represents like intense protection, like defense, boundaries, weapons, standing your ground. So
Okay.
same concept, but it's like the other side of that protection coin. It's not just like standing strong when everything else around you is dead. It's like defense, like come at me, bro, kind of thing. So, boundaries, standing your ground, and lots of weapons, but especially the spear is highly associated with this. So that's the Ogham letter. So magical, just kind of generally associated with things like endurance, stillness, still living your life even within a period of dormancy, protection, power during darkness, right? Like again, when everything else around you is like dead or dormant or quiet or laying still, you are standing proud, producing those red fucking berries kind of thing. So like very much like very like standing your ground kind of thing. So magical uses, you could hang holly above doorways, windows, you can make it into wreaths, any type of threshold and boundary work, entryways, property lines, anything associated with like Yule or winter, like solstice, Christmas kind of stuff. Releasing and clearing, especially anything around winter where we are kind of like, remember, winter, we look at it as like the end of the cycle, right? So it's like the dormancy when everything is kind of dying before the renewal emergence of spring. So it's kind of like releasing, letting go of things. Now, not really great topically. So I couldn't find anything about this because I was thinking, well, yeah, you could make like, like infuse it with water and then you love me in my showers and baths. You could like pour it over your head in the
Yeah.
shower, which would be beautiful for like cleansing the end of the year. But it has the saponins in it, which can be, if you have sensitive skin, it can cause some problems. So, you don't really want to do that. I mean, you could, it's not going to like hurt you necessarily, but if you, especially if you have sensitive skin, it could kind of make you break out. So, not great topically. You could try it if you want, but I would focus more on either drinking it, specifically the vomitorium, okay, or mostly probably for the best.
Yeah,
Um,
specifically drink that.
yes, like just, to each their own.
What was
But
it called?
mostly,
Yaman, Yaupon, Yaupon.
yeah, Yaupon,
Yeah.
something like that. That
Okay.
one. Drink that one.
Drink that.
Or this, oh, is gonna drive me crazy. M Mostly focus on like the symbolic use. That's
Uh-oh, you did a pee.
there
There
we
you go.
go. Symbolic usage, right? Like you can place it places and work with it, things like that. But if you drink it, just use caution with the type you're drinking. And I would suggest against using it like topically. So I would focus mostly on symbolic. And that's it.
Awesome. Woohoo!
Let me
I
stop.
love holly. Holly's
Always a
amazing.
good one. Yeah.
I have a
Really.
December birthday, so holly's always been like part of like what's going on during my
Yeah.
birthday celebration. So
Mhm.
I love it. Thank you for joining us at Holly. Thank you for joining us, listening to our whole presentation about holly. And like and subscribe at the bottom, and we will see you at the next Ditch Witch Diaries.